you had said the other day that your team is like more skilled than it is physical. Is that something you think you can coach up once guys get here, that other the physical portion? Or
no question. We put a major emphasis yesterday on finishing through contact, having more determination / explosion around the basket. And I feel like after a good solid practice yesterday, we made significant improvements. And a lot of times it's what we emphasize as coaches that we improve at the most. And as a staff, we haven't emphasized that nearly enough. But once again, thank goodness we played a team that could expose that area, so it pointed us in the right direction.
Jason? Hey, Mr. here. I guess can you provide an update on Jason, Justin, and shed some light on what they're doing with them and being able to practice?
Yeah, they've been in and out. It's day by day. It's how they're feeling. I think we had I think we're playing the conference tournament tomorrow. I think they'd both be eligible. I mean, they'd both be ready to play. But we're also not going to bring them back too quickly now. Their long-term health is extremely important to us and to them. So I think we'll see both of them. I anticipate both of them being cleared for Cleveland State. If not, then very soon thereafter.
I'm curious what your philosophy is on captains, whether you select them, whether you like the team to vote for them, and what you look for in a captain.
The captain spot, they select. I don't do that. We have at times in the past, but I'm pretty hands-off. There's these certain things that are extremely important to me, and everything else, the players make a lot of internal and external decisions on our program. So that's been more player-led than coach-led.
Tony? Yeah, I was actually going to ask that one too, but now you're moving into the season.
Do you mind? Who are our captains, by the way? I don't even know.
No, we don't know.
We were asking.
No, leadership is open to all. We are a cohesive group, and we don't have captains.
Okay, but you do have depth, right? And so I guess how pleased were you with what you saw in that regard in this exhibition period? Well,
when you're a coach and you're looking at the stat sheet and you're thinking, man, we need to find a way to get him some more minutes. We need to find him a few more. I mean, that's a good sign that you have a chance to be a really good team.
Who were you thinking that with?
Almost everyone, really. I mean, I think Fat Brooks comes in and plays 3.5 minutes and changes the game. I would have loved to have gotten him some more minutes, but also Namari was playing well and Will was playing well off the bench. And then every time Sam Walters checks in the game, it seems like we go in a spurt. He has so much, he brings so much attention to him. And we still need to get Vlad and Danny more minutes together so they find their rhythm and cohesion. So it's a lot different than sitting here saying like, oh man, we're playing him too many minutes. He's getting way too many minutes. We got to find a way to cut his minutes. That hasn't been the thought process. So that's a good sign.
And three-pointers. Is there like a target amount you want to shoot every day? A ratio of 3 to
as many in rhythm threes as we could get. We've actually been pretty efficient shooting it, not as well as we can. But yeah, we like where 22 attempts and out of 68 is probably low for us. But I thought Toledo did a nice job of, when we paused the film on our pick and rolls and we paused the film on our drives, they did a nice job of staying at home on shooters, and we're going to see that. That's something that each game is a little bit different. You have to be able to adapt on the fly. But we have a good idea going into the games. But yeah, we'd love to shoot as many good in rhythm threes as we can, and then chase down the ones we miss.
How important is relationship building within your own coaching philosophy, and how do you implement that?
Every single day. There's nothing more important. Relationships are tricky because everyone needs. Some guys need a little bit more time. Some need a little more attention. Some need less. And so you try to choose how to best use your time. Now we don't believe that coming in and slapping guys on the back is how you develop real relationships. It's being honest. It's telling them exactly how you feel. It's giving them direct feedback, minute by minute feedback, hour by hour feedback, and just let them know that you're there for them either way. They're 0 for 10 or they're 10 for 10. Our temperature doesn't change.
And do you have an example of when maybe you devoted more time to a specific player?
Yeah, this morning I met with 3 players, just in passing. Just saw them and said, hey, let me know before you leave. I'd love to just check in, see how you're doing, see how you feel after yesterday's practice. So yeah, there's every single day try to text, call, hit a few guys, And like I said, some need more time than others. I mean, some guys crave the relationship they had with their last coach, and some would rather just have more of a business relationship. And we're fine either way. We're going to be there for them, whatever they need.
John? You've mentioned a couple, but are there other takeaways from these 2 exhibition games that will have you really looking at your team and tweaking some things going into the season?
Not wholesale changes. We've spent a lot of time to develop the habits and routines that we have. There have been some things come up that Toledo had a tempo press that we had worked on different ways to attack that particular type of press when they're trying to slow us down. I thought maybe 4 possessions. I thought we were extremely effective in 3 of the 4. We didn't have the personnel in the right places in the other one, but the way we play, that's going to happen as well. So a couple guys need to learn different spots or learn different roles in that, but for the most part, not really. I mean, what we thought came to fruition. We spent a lot of time watching our own team and studying our own team and following trends in basketball. So yes, we have flaws. We have a lot of time to fix those if we're intentional.
Austin?
Dusty, what do you expect will be going through your mind when you walk out of the tunnel for the first time officially? Do you have butterflies at this stage of your career, just in the moment? What do you anticipate?
I would say butterflies, more of just try to figure out where are the fouls, where are the, where am I looking for the score, the time and score. When I'm talking to the staff about a substitution pattern, the benches are different. Everything's different, so it's just getting more acclimated to the other things, so you can focus your attention and your eyes on where they need to be. But yeah, there's a little bit of newness nerves. I think probably before the Oakland game there was more, just because I'd never seen our team perform as a group with uniforms on. So after seeing how capable we can be, it definitely it allowed me just to focus on what was important, and it definitely wasn't me and my emotions. So.
Real quick follow-up on that, I guess. Do you give yourself an opportunity to kind of look around and take it in, or are you just so dialed in on it?
No, to be honest, usually when I walk onto the court for the first time, I'll notice the lights and the smells and the sounds and whatnot. But once the game's tipped, I mean, to be honest, I had no idea where my family sat during the game or where the recruits' seats were. That's, we all have our strengths and weaknesses. One of, I think probably something that I'm better than I used to be at is if it's going on in between the lines, that's all my focus. People behind us, the fans yelling, I don't know why, I just don't really notice any of that. I probably heard one heckler in however many years I've been coaching as a head coach, and for whatever reason I just don't notice any of that.
And then on defense, you talked on Friday about offensively, threes, points in the paint. Defensively, are you guys more willing to give up kind of the mid-range? I know you want to contest everything, but what's your kind of philosophy on that?
Yeah, we want to contest better. We didn't contest well enough, and that was another point of emphasis yesterday in practice, and I thought we did a nice job of just a late contest is much better than no contest. And even when you think you're behind, we need more multiple efforts, especially from our athletic guys that are capable of making those multiple effort plays. But yeah, they punished us. They got to their spots. They made some really good individual one-on-one plays, and I think early in the game they banked in a 3. They had a couple of really fortuitous bounces, and then we got up big, and then we made some errors. I think we were 16 when we had a 3-on-1 break, and we turned it over, and then they turned that into a transition basket. So we got a little bit loose when we went up. And obviously at the time that's alarming, but when you look back, man, that last 4 minutes was as good of a late game practice pressure situation as we could be in.
Dennis?
Yeah, with those late game situations you just talked about, I don't know if any of these guys have really had, if they've been the number one options. Can you go through some of those situations and how up to the challenge you think some of those guys are?
I think we have a lot of guys that are capable of getting us a big basket. Obviously, Roddy made a couple of really nice drives and made a big 3 off of the other 4 guys playing good team offense. That's the one that really stood out at the biggest moment. But I think I have a lot of faith in Roddy closing. I think Danny Wolf, I think Vlad Golden, I think a lot of those guys are capable of winning their one-on-one matchup on a regular basis.
Is it Vlad where you try to always get him a touch in a late game situation, you think?
they double teamed the post, so we threw it in a couple times so we could draw the double team, kick it out, and play through that. And then they stopped double teaming, so we started looking for him a little bit more. And as a coach, we've spent a lot of time preparing for the play after the play, all summer, all fall. Because when you play really good teams, the plays don't work to perfection the way you want them to. They're going to take something away, and you have to be able to counter, and you have to be able to play, and you have to be able to read the cues. And so we've spent and so now we don't even have really our high-low attack in when Vlad's fronted. So Vlad was fronted a couple times, and we haven't spent time working on that the way we need to get good at it. So it's just, once again, it's give and take, and we will be better at execution when the game stops. The later into practice, we've decided that that's the least important to spend the majority of our time on.
Just going back earlier, you mentioned the substitution pattern. I was trying to watch during the exhibition. We're on the far side. I imagine you handle that, but it just looked like you were down the bench. Is that an assistant who does that?
It's the scout coach who's prepared for that game is very involved. Coach Boynton is doing it right now. We have a set who's going in. Now the time may be different if Vlad gets tired because the tempo is going up and down. We try to use the media timeout with Vlad. We expect a lot out of the big fella. He's got to anchor our defense. He's got to sprint up and down the floor on both ends. So we try to use the media. So we sub him out before the other starters typically, just so we can use the media. We know who our first guard's going to be. We know who our first forward's going to be. Then as the game settles in, then it's we're talking through it based on foul trouble, based on production, based on matchups, and so it's. Obviously, if we get outside of our set patterns, then hey, I want to see Sam play with Vlad. But for the most part, it's the staffs do a lot of substitutions.
Okay. And then one more. Obviously, you have a week, but before this, the opener, there are some bigger brands, I guess you could say, down the line. Is this a time where you can maybe look ahead and when you have a full week, right? Look a little TCU, Arkansas, Wake Forest, what have you.
I watched Wake Forest play Alabama. So are we beginning the scouting process? No, but we stay pretty familiar with everyone we play. Indiana, Tennessee was on yesterday afternoon, so I watched 3/4 of that game. Probably tonight I'll watch the replay of Ole Miss and who'd Ole Miss play? Illinois. So yeah, we're not scouting them, but we're getting ourselves familiar. And then it's also a good reference point of they were playing these guys earlier and now they're playing them or whatever the case. But as far as putting in a lot of time into it, no. It's all focus is going to be on Cleveland State unless those teams do something that we're not going to see in practice.
Thanks. Andrew?
At your very first press conference after you got hired, you talked about the importance of winning in year one. I guess, can you elaborate on that? The team did not do that well last year. It's a new coach, new players. No one would expect maybe huge things, but it seems to be important to you.
We're double down on that. Winning is important, but it's also a byproduct. It's more of, hey, let's have a great work day today with mind and body and spirit, and let's have a great work day tomorrow. And then when the Big Ten tournament's here in March and we're playing our rivals in February or whatever the case, then we'll be ready to play. But yeah, if we didn't have the talent and the experience in our locker room, then I wouldn't be near as confident saying it. But I think we have a good team. I love our guys. I believe in them. And I'll leave it at that.
Okay. And then another one, if that's okay, about Reuben Jones. When I watched the games the first time, I didn't necessarily notice him that much, but then watching again, it's okay, he seems to make the right pass and things like that. Is that accurate, I guess? Or
the new term in basketball, and we coaches, we still, across sports, is invisible plays. They used to be winning plays, they used to be intangibles, they used to, whatever you want to call it. Reuben makes a lot of invisible plays that may not be assist. Those deflections in the gap turn into a layup for Will Cheddar or whatever, or taking the ball out quickly after a made basket, the response after a make could be something where you don't get a stat for it. But when you watch the film, and usually the championship level teams I've been a part of, there's usually a couple guys immediately after the game thinking, man, he just played okay. It's just okay. Then you go back and watch the film and you say, wow, man, he made so many invisible plays. He made the quick swing instead of trying to beat his man every time, or he crashed the glass and took on two guys, and therefore Vlad got the tip in. Just those things that the casual fan or in the flow of the game you may not notice every time. But when you watch the film, Reuben makes a lot of those plays.
Thanks.
Jay? I got two for you. Going back to Andrew's question, I guess a lot of people are going to measure success just looking at wins and losses. I guess during the season, what are you going to be looking for to maybe show that this team is trending in the right direction?
Are we playing really good basketball on offense and defense? That's it. I mean, if you're playing really sound basketball, you're going to be in position to win. And then because we have veterans who are talented, and we're going to be fearless, we're going to be unafraid of failure, that we feel like we'll win a good percentage of them. But at the end of the day, if we're in a bunch of one-possession games, the odds say you're going to be 500. So we've got to find a way to, when we're up 16, to keep that separation, because when you get down into the last 4 minutes in the situation we were in, we're going to lose some of those games in the Big Ten if we're still in those one-possession games just by numbers. The game is fluky. You can run great offense and play perfect defense and still lose if you're in one-possession games. But it's also why we want 75 or 80 possessions. We want to limit that margin.
Then you mentioned after the Oakland exhibition that you were encouraged about what this team can be. I guess when all is said and done, what do you kind of hope or envision this will look like come March?
That's a long way away. I mean, we're going to evolve a lot, but the same characteristics we said from day one: extremely intense, passionate, sharing the basketball, playing at great pace, enjoyable to watch, and it's not as much stylistically as it is behaviors. If I know when I watch sports and I see a team that's extremely spirited. For example, I went to the Pistons-Celtics game, and it was a heart-wrenching loss for the Pistons the other night. But when you look at it, man, they play with. I walked out there thinking, man, they're going in the right direction. This team plays hard. The young guys are improving. They've gotten better. And the Celtics had a championship look in their eye, and the Pistons just aren't there yet. But because of the way they played, because of the spirit, the togetherness of the team, that's how we want to look. Every single night, people walk out of Chrysler saying, man, that is a connected group that plays hard, and they're competitive, and they represent Michigan the right way.
Dennis, you want to close this out?
Yeah, Kason, is he a lot better than you thought he was going to be? Are you surprised that he wasn't more sought after? And you got a recruiting story about him, maybe how you got on him originally.
I'll just begin with something you don't see very often. LJ worked at Publix when he was in high school, during the summer, in the evenings, on Sundays. Now, I text him or call him, and he'd say, Coach, I'm at work. And I said, well, you're not supposed to answer your phone at work. You can call me back later. I think that shows a level of, I guess, commitment, discipline. He had a village pour into him. He played for an unbelievable supportive AU program, high school program, and he's about all the right things. Did I expect him to go 6 for 7 and 4 for 4 against a really good program in Toledo? No, those are results. But we asked him to join us at Michigan for a reason, because he's a special dude. As freshmen, you never know right away. So I don't want to say we saw this coming, but based on practice performance, I think if any of you have been to any of these press conferences or heard interviews, he's been sustaining this type of success throughout practice from the summer to the fall. And usually, the guys like him that have his level of confidence and they prepare themselves, they at least have some moderate success as a freshman.
Actually, Coach, we got one more from Andrew.
Sorry for the bonus, but why are you better equipped for this job now than you would have been, say, before you started your last job?
That's a great question. I mean, experience. I mean, we've been through some battles. Hopefully, in a year, I'm much better and well equipped than I am today, and on and on and on. I know with our mindset every year, I look back and think, man, golly, I can't believe I didn't know that, or I can't believe I didn't see that. So I think just our continuous journey to improve, to self-evaluate, to critique ourselves, and I told one of our guys this morning that in our program, as long as you're trying like crazy to get better, you're going to be in good graces with us. You could have an awful day, awful game, and as long as you're determined to fix it and improve, then we're going to be in good graces. So it's just kind of how we are. Like I said, we're not afraid of the results. We're not trying to play teams we know we're going to win every night to make ourselves look good and feel good. I mean, we want to find the best ways for us to improve, and play in real quality competition tells you a lot about yourself, but also it's how you improve. We learn from our opponents.